ISFJ weaknesses, flaws, and shortcomings, where the ISFJ feel challenged. Everyone has their strengths and their weaknesses, and it is important to uncover these parts of ourselves. Learning more about their own shortcomings can help you to improve and in some cases, simply help you to accept them for what they are. We cannot be perfect no matter how hard we try, and so sometimes it is best to learn where we aren't comfortable and won't be happiest because of these weaknesses. While everyone has their strengths, there are always weaknesses that can hold us back from certain paths or simply make those choices more challenging to endure for us. Knowing where these shortcomings are can also help to find the best ways of growing and developing them into something more manageable. ISFJs are naturally giving people who want to be there for those around them. While they are practical and often very capable individuals, they have weaknesses just like anyone else. ISFJs are generous towards others but can often be hard on themselves in so many ways. They struggle to accept their weaknesses and imperfections, not wanting people to see them as weak or incapable. For the ISFJ, weaknesses and flaws can be hard to really process in themselves, while they can accept them easily in others. This double standard makes it hard for them to really move on from those weaknesses at times, wanting to just push through them in order to tend to the needs of those around them. They are perfectionists. ISFJs are perfectionists when it comes to most of the things they do, especially when it pertains to their loved ones. ISFJs don't want to be seen as flawed or making mistakes, as this can be something that disappoints others. They care about living up to those expectations and don't like the feeling of letting anyone else down. This puts a lot of pressure on the ISFJ, and they find themselves taking on too much at once because of it. They strive to do everything perfectly, especially when it comes to tending to those around them. For the ISFJ, making those mistakes is something that they take rather harshly. They blame themselves when things don't go smoothly, and this can cause them a lot of stress. This is often why ISFJs can seem a bit high-strung, since they put so much pressure on themselves to be successful in what they do. They want to impress their loved ones, and so every little task becomes something they want to ensure they do perfectly. If they have larger projects they need to tend to, it can cause the ISFJ to seem on edge since they have so much pressure on them to succeed and make sure everything ends up perfect for their loved ones. They struggle with change. ISFJs can struggle when it comes to change and don't like being tossed into these new situations. They prefer to know how things are going to be done so that they can plan ahead. The ISFJ's perfectionist behavior is often why change can be so difficult for them to deal with. The idea of being tossed into something new and not knowing how to navigate this perfectly can leave the ISFJ feeling extremely stressed. They want to be able to prepare themselves so that they can protect their loved ones and ensure that they are cared for and happy. Change can mean they won't know how to deal with the situation, so they are unsure if they can take care of everyone around them. ISFJs can also be very connected to the past and certain traditions which they follow. They become comfortable with their routine and become stressed when this is changed too drastically. This doesn't mean ISFJs are incapable of change, but they definitely find it a bit overwhelming in most situations. For the ISFJ, having to cope with change can be a challenge and isn't something that comes naturally to them. Too self-sacrificing. ISFJs can neglect their own personal needs or emotions in hopes of making others happy. This constant self-sacrificing nature is something that can be taken a bit too far at times. While being a generous and giving person is a wonderful part of the ISFJ personality, it is important for them to find balance. When they take this to the point of completely pushing aside their own feelings for the sake of those around them, it can really hold them back and end up making the ISFJ unhappy. In order to properly care for their loved ones, they need to take care of themselves as well. For the ISFJ to be the best version of themselves, it is important that they take time to recognize their own emotions and their own personal needs. It can be hard for them to find this balance, especially for the younger ISFJ. They want to be able to care for others and don't like putting their own needs first in most situations. This makes it hard for them to take notice when they are actually struggling with something and can leave them feeling emotionally drained and overwhelmed without entirely knowing why this is happening. Repressing their own emotions for the sake of others is something that can prevent the ISFJ from really connecting with people in the way they want to. This part of the ISFJ is something that is both a strength and a weakness at times. Struggle with criticism. ISFJs struggle with criticism and can often take things a bit too personally without meaning to. When they receive criticism or feel like someone is judging them, the ISFJ can become emotionally overwhelmed by this. They don't like feeling as if they have failed or if someone views them negatively, especially someone they deeply care for. When they receive some sort of criticism from a loved one, it can hit the ISFJ truly hard, even if the comment was not intended to be hurtful or even harsh. The slightest critique can be overwhelming for them, leaving the ISFJ feeling like they have failed in some way.